Hello everyone, this is Tasuki of Flames, and I just wanted to give my thoughts on the series Dragon Ball GT, like what kind of issues I had with it, the good, the bad, and just random thoughts going off the script just to come up with everything I can come off at the top of my head. Obviously, I'm talking about this, which I don't know if you could call it the orange bricks or what, because they're not orange, but it's pretty much along that same line of stuff that came out in that kind of fashion. I got the whole complete set. I was able to get it for like $25, so I thought, why not pick it up? It had been a while since I'd actually seen the series. But there was always some issues, like many people, of things that I didn't like about it. And starting with the very beginning of the series, the biggest mistake they always made, and I don't get what was going through their heads on it. I have to assume they wanted to recapture the Dragon Ball vibe, which Dragon Ball was an amazing series. Very well put together and a great story, and it all connected together as one huge story going forward. But they were not able to recapture that at all. There was no reason to go backwards. Goku had grown so much, we wanted to see it continue from there. Most people at the time probably hadn't seen Dragon Ball. They just saw Dragon Ball Z because it's what came to the airwaves, was on Cartoon Network and everything else like that. So most people didn't even know about Dragon Ball or had never actually watched it all the way through. So going backwards doesn't really, it probably made most people tune out. It was like, what, he's a kid again? Why? And I was one of the people, I didn't like that at all. I always have a hard time watching the first arc in Dragon Ball GT because it's just so boring and there's no reason for it. The first problem is, okay, you got Black Star Dragon Balls that have been in the lookout all this time, just sitting in there, unguarded, nothing else like that, and the person that knows about them is Emperor Pilaf. How does he know about them? And if he did, what did it take so long for him to go after him? Because why would he know about it, but you don't got Piccolo knowing or talking about him? You didn't have Kami back in the day talking about it. You don't have Goku. None of them know they exist after all this time, as many times as they've had that thing blown up and everything else. You think they would have known about that or said something or said, don't do this, because if you make any wish with this accidentally, you're going to scatter them across all over the place, and you're gonna have to go and chase after them, and it will be very bad because you'll blow up the earth, which never made any sense to begin with. But you know, they could have made him a kid if they ended it at the end of the first arc and made them find a way to resolve that and get him back to an adult, but they did not go with that. They decided, we're going to keep him a kid the entire time, even though when they did the Super Saiyan 4, they tried to rectify it by making him adult then, but it's not permanent, so it doesn't matter. You should have nipped that in the butt right away or not made it happen at all. And also, with the first arc, they made the mistake of having some very uninteresting characters go with Goku. You had Pan that just nagged and was annoying as can be. They could have wrote her a lot better and made her interesting, but they didn't, so she should have been thrown out. And then you also have non-future Trunks, should I say, current Trunks for GT, and he was nothing like future Trunks, which was always one of my favorite characters, and they just didn't make him very interesting at all. They made him just like a slapstick throwaway character, and they could have put Gohan, Goten, Vegeta, Piccolo, any of them, they could have gone with them. Even Bulma could have hopped back on there and made it very interesting to watch, the dynamic between them. But especially like Vegeta going with him, along with one other person, that could have made it very interesting, their interaction with him being a kid and all that kind of stuff. Like, not to mention it would have made the fights a lot easier, because most of the bad guys from the first arc are complete pushovers for the most part. And a complete joke. You got a freaking worm. I don't know how that crap that was able to hurt Goku and everything like that. That didn't make any sense. You're not supposed to be having like worms and freaking dinosaurs, random stuff like that, that is weak as can be, giving Goku a problem. The power scaling in Dragon Ball GT never made any sense to me. They're like, these are way more powerful than Super and all that kind of crap like that, and then they get beat up by a worm. I mean, seriously? I don't care if he wasn't taking it seriously. It's a giant sandworm, whatever the crap it was. And then you got those dancing par bastards. Those weren't interesting at all. That just sucked the life out of it. And then you going forward, it actually started getting interesting once you got to the baby arc, because he had a very interesting backstory of having disputes with the Saiyans and issues with that. He could have been a very interesting, mixed up character that I always thought he was in the right while the Saiyans were wrong, but they just skipped that and made him pretty much a generic bad guy, and they didn't even make him all that strong compared to Goku once he turned Super Saiyan 4. He's beating the crap out of him. And once that happens, he pretty much beat him down very quickly and defeated him in a very uninteresting way. The same way he beat so many others in the movies. There's no reason for that. I mean, he freaking blew Cooler into the sun, and now he blows him to the sun. It's just not very interesting. They could find better ways to have solutions to this that make more sense. Then Super 17, that actually like the character design. It looks really cool, but they didn't make him all that powerful to start. Then they made Goku really stupid, which he's not that dumb, and have him keep powering up Super 17 over and over, which that's not even to say how the crap does 17 and 17 create that powerful a warrior to begin with. And on top of that, they end up having Piccolo, a very interesting character, spend the entire series after that in hell for no reason, because he died for no reason, and they didn't even give him a good reason, then throw him away. Like most other characters, I did like how you got to see like the everyday lives and the future lives of the more minor characters here and there, what they actually showed you of it. It was nice, like seeing Brawl and Pan and everything else like that, because I like seeing like the secondary characters interacting and how they go as they progress and get older and everything like that. But obviously it was mostly about Vegeta and more so just Goku. It was Goku left and right, and no one else seemed to matter. They're doing a bunch of nothing, which I never liked. But in the end, 17, that arc came and went really quickly, and at the same time, Goku didn't even beat him. He was just like, kill me! Blam, he's dead. Really? That's like if Cell suddenly said, it's like, I'm perfection, blah, 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 and then just let himself be killed instead. That's not a way to dispatch a villain. That's just stupid. Give us some actual closure. If you're gonna have a bad guy, have him be a bad guy and interesting and strong, not kill himself. And also, going past that, you finally got to a very interesting concept about the Dragon Balls cracking open and creating all these evil dragons and stuff like that. And then they just threw it away. They made no real use of it. They had most of the dragons be extremely weak. It's weak to the point where Pan was able to beat them. That's pretty weak. And the only good one was Omega. And for the most part, they didn't make that all that interesting either, because they made it go by way too quick. That's one of the plagues of most of those arcs for being 64 episodes. They rush through stuff every time, because most of these villains, Baby, Super 17, and the Shadow Dragons are all very good ideas, and they're interesting characters, but they never got any use out of them, because the scripts, what they did with them wasn't very good, and they rushed through it. They're like sprinting to the end. They had something very interesting, but they ruined it by not, giving it the time it needed to progress and the time they needed to write a very interesting concept for it. And that ruined most of the series, and it created a lot of plot holes. I think that's one of the problems that's happening with Super. They're just going real quick with it and trying to make a buck out of it, and it's creating a lot of plot holes that don't need to be. There's no reason to come up with that many of them. But they take something that could be good and have made it bad. It's not all bad. Like I said, I like the characters for the bad guys they came up with. I like the designs. I like some of the fights. Super Saiyan 4 is very interesting to look at, and there's a reason why it's so popular with so many people. I really like seeing a lot of the characters where their antics and where their lives went as they went through GT. I liked some of the fights were really good. It's just they just didn't make use of what they had. And that's the biggest issue with it. So everything past the first arc you can actually watch and are pretty good. And are very entertaining. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's just Goku being a kid and them rushing through the arcs, creating issues. Those are the biggest problems I always had with it. And they could have fixed it, but once they got to a different point, they ruined a lot of it. And to make it where if you kind of turn off your brain and just enjoy it for what it is, you can really have a good time of it. And obviously, it's really cheap if you want to buy it. I got mine at like Walmart for $25 for the entire series. That's not a bad deal, especially for the entire series. If you ever wanted to see it or thought about it, you should see it. It's not better than Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball GT, but it is still watchable and something, if you're a true Dragon Ball fan, that you should at least look into and see what you think of it. See for yourself. Don't just go off of what everyone else says. See it for yourself, then create your own opinion on it. That's always the best way to do it, because just because someone else doesn't like it doesn't mean you won't. You never know. Well, anyway, this has been Tatsuki of Flames. This has been my huge rant on different stuff based on Dragon Ball GT, my thoughts, ideas. If you liked it, leave a like. If you have anything you think I could have done better, or any comments you'd like to make, just comment below and let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next one.